Go be Tasha Green, the half-smart chicken head who would still be in the fucking hood if it wasn't for me. Hey, what's up? What's going on, everybody? We back, and it is the final, like for real, the final episode of Power. We have made it, like for real this time. But like we saw, well, we're going to talk about that in a minute. I'm not going to jump the gun. All right, so now we finally get to see Tasha's side of the story. So now we know, like, okay, this is, once I knew, like, once we saw either Tasha or Tyriq, that meant that was the end. And I feel like they kind of combined both of them together to show their side of the story, because we saw a lot of aspects from Tasha's standpoint, and we also saw a lot of standpoints from Tyriq as well. So we first start off by seeing, well, in the beginning, we start off by seeing Tasha all cuddly wuddly with her new boo Q, okay? And I felt like he was kind of like her drug, her escape, her way to kind of like clear her mind and just get her head off of everything that was going on with her. So that was what she was doing. You know, we haven't really gotten to see some good action in a while, you know, some titties and some booty and all that stuff. So we got to see it in this episode. It was like, we gonna hit y'all up with a bang, okay? We gonna expose Tasha for real. You know, give you everything she got. So while he was asleep, she gets a message from Tyriq or whatever. He wants her to come home. I guess, you know, he's worried. He's a guy. He's her only son. And he's pretty much the man of the house right now. I don't know why these little dudes be thinking that they run stuff, because that's how my son is. He be thinking he run me. And I'm like, yo, you better fall back, because I gave birth to you. It ain't the other way around, okay? You know, I be having to check him real quick. Like, hold up. Talking about, mom, what you doing? Where you at? Like, who's the parent here? But yeah, we got to see what he was working with. Well, not really, but we got to see he had some magnums, so you know what that means. Wink, wink. But he also had a gun in his drawer, from what we saw as well. So yeah, that part was crazy. So anyway, Tasha, she ends up telling Tyriq that she was with a man and it wasn't their father or whatever. And he's like, how you with a man and I ain't get the chance to meet him yet? I'm like, yo, Tyriq definitely wasn't feeling it. I'm like, homie really think he the father right now. Well, I guess, you know, for some reason, like a lot of times young boys, they feel like they have to protect their moms, especially when the father is not in the picture or there's another other man in the picture or whatever. I mean, there's a man in my picture. My son still feel like he got to protect me. Like, boy, I'm going to protect you forever. Okay. So yeah, when they both end up finding out that James was running for mayoral candidate with Walsh, or running alongside her, they were both fumed, because that meant that her plan that she was trying to get him taken down wasn't about to work. So now it's like, damn, now we got to come up with something else, because obviously that didn't work. Tyriq, he had gotten the gun from Dre that we saw in return. That's how Dre ended up meeting up with his father at that point, where he had set up that meeting for them, because remember, Dre was trying to extort him and stuff like that, get money from him because he was trying to leave town and all that. When Tasha and Ghost had met up at the gravesite to kind of talk to their daughter, to talk to Raina or whatever, you know, kind of pay their respects and just kind of talk to her as though, you know, just like how you talk to the dead, it kind of ended up badly, to the point where he told her things that no woman wants to hear, no mother wants to hear, which is, one, that he's going to take her children from her, and number two, that he's going to have this woman that he barely even knows, that he hasn't been in a real relationship with for a long amount of time. He's going to have her raise their kids because she's more fit and she'll be a better role model. Like, you hear something like that, that is freaking crazy. Like, that absolutely blows a woman's mind. I know it would blow my mind. Like, the fuck you think? Like, you ain't having nobody raising my kids. You're not taking my kids that came out of me, that I birthed. You know what I mean? that I had to carry in my little body free. They ain't pay no rent up in my body for 9 whole months. Like, no, it's not happening. And so, yeah, she wasn't really feeling that. And I feel like from then, she definitely was having a whole bunch of ill feelings towards him. And then he called her chicken head, hood rat, like all these things. Well, he didn't call her a hood rat, but he pretty much called her chicken head that he saved from being in the hood. I mean, right or wrong, at the end of the day, at one point you did love this person. I feel like, that was a pretty messed up thing for him to say to her. Well, following that, that's when Tommy had went to go see Tasha about Keisha and everything. We seen that scene a few times. So it looks like Tyriq's teacher also got taken away. I guess somebody found out that he was selling drugs in the campus, so he was taken down. So of course that's another thing that Tyriq has to worry about, because he don't know what his teacher's going to end up telling the feds or whatever, because once people put the heat on you, a lot of times you will crack, especially if they're willing to give you a good deal for whatever it is. And so of course that's something that he's like, but the good thing about it was the way they had it set up with the teacher was that he really didn't know that it was coming from Tyriq. Like, he had his suspicions, he had his thoughts. He did see, he did know about Tyriq and everything. He did speak to Tyriq and want to be a part of the criminal, criminal stuff so he could get some money. And magically there were drugs, available for him after he spoke to Tyriq. So, I mean, putting 2 and 2 together, it just only makes sense that Tyriq had something to do with it, but he had no proof at the end of it. So I feel like they set that up pretty well to the point where, Tyriq didn't really have to worry too much about that. There was a scene where they showed that Tasha went back to the old house. She was kind of reminiscing, kind of seeing things from the past. Then that's the part where, what's his name had came in. Ghost had came in and they were having a conversation. She did ask at the end of the conversation, after they had their little tidbit and he revealed that he knew that she killed Keisha, and he asked her, like, how did it feel, getting her first kill and stuff like that. And she pleads with him to think about Tyriq, because at that point she wanted to ensure that he wasn't going to turn Tyriq in. But he didn't even have that thought in mind. It actually was her bringing that up that kind of made him even think about it, which is exactly what Tate was doing. He was manipulating her, and she didn't even realize it. So she did ask if he ever loved her, and he did end up saying yes, he did. So at least, he told the truth about that. I mean, at the end of the day, you could tell he wouldn't have married her if he didn't love her. But along the road, he realized, for me, what I feel like is along the road, he realized that he wanted more for his life. He wanted to grow. And I feel like she didn't want to grow. She wanted to grow, but she wanted to grow in ways that would negatively affect or impact their family. And he wanted to grow in a legit way. So, she wasn't willing or wanting to see his vision. And his vision was actually a way to get them to a better place. He saw how he would get the money in. He was actually pretty business savvy. So he said, I still love you right now. He did let her know that. But he was like, you never loved this version of me. The only thing that you ever said. And we had a glimpse back to that scene where she said that he was like, what do you see me as? And she was like, the biggest drug dealer in New York City. That's all she ever saw him as. She couldn't see past that. And that's where she was kind of like stuck in a box, in the hood box. You know what I mean? It's like you took her out the hood, but she still had all that hood inside of her. She was like eloquent, but super hood, to the point where she couldn't get past, I guess where she came from to get to, like, he's trying to get that white people money. She's just trying to get that hood money. Tyriq told Tasha about his last encounter with James, and he got emotional because his dad kept on telling him that he needs to turn himself in. And this was a scene where it was Tyriq and Tasha talking, and how his dad kind of like ragged him up and told him not to force him to do the right thing, to just do it. and don't make him kind of push his hand to make him be the person that he wants him to be. So, you know, at that point, Tyriq was very upset. He was emotional because Tyriq doesn't want to do what his father wants to do, you know. But I feel like that one is kind of like a hard line for the reason, or for the fact that I feel like, you know, James wants him to be better, yes, but I also feel like at this point, he's doing this not necessarily just to save him, but he's also doing it because he wants to win, you know? So I feel like it's almost like an ulterior motive behind it. Like, are you really trying to help him, or are you trying to help yourself? Or is it, I mean, maybe it's a combination of both depending on perspective and how you look at it. So Tasha tells Tariq that she plans to stop Ghost. So she got a plan. She said she wants him to go to Truth, you know, talk to him, and she's going to come later on. And yeah, she's just wants to make sure that he leaves. She did give him the opportunity, like, are you sure you want us to do this? And Tyriq is like, yeah, like, I'm all for this. So he wasn't with changing his mind or anything like that. So Tasha, she ends up asking her new boo Q to go with her to Truth so that she can give him the divorce papers, and so she can like finally be rid of him so they can kind of move on or whatever. So when I seen that, I'm like, it seemed a little fishy. Like, I feel like she was manipulating him to be part of the plan somehow, some way. And in my head, I'm like, maybe he shot Ghost, you know, maybe because he seemed like he was a little enraged himself, because he's like, yo, like, I could just visit this dude and give him the papers and do what I got to do. And she's like, even though I'm scared of him, I'll feel so much better if you're there with me. So yeah, it was just part of the manipulation. And I was like, damn, bro, like, just open your eyes, make sure you know what you're doing. So Tyriq, he was looking sharp. He went up in Truth. His dad was showing him around. This is supposed to be the night that he's going to give himself up and all that. And Tyriq, he was definitely contemplating things. Tasha, you could tell that she was contemplating things. Both of them were seeing people from the past that passed on. Just, I feel like those were the dark sides trying to push them to do things. Like, well, at least for Tyriq, because he saw Kanan. But for Tasha, she ended up seeing Sean. So I feel like that was like a reflection of herself telling her, like, bitch, you doing the wrong thing. What are you doing? Like, look what happened before, you know? What are you doing? It was kind of, and that could have even been a symbol of everything that she was about to do because of how she was manipulating this dude, you know, that actually cared about her, you know? Because that was the first guy that she stepped out with, was Sean, the first guy that she kind of fell for or whatever. And at the end of the day, when you really think about it, Tasha had more affairs than Ghost did. I just kind of thought about that. Like, she wasn't living too bad. I mean, he did his dirt, but she did dirt, you know? She got dirty. She like, I'm gonna make up for all this D that I lost. So yeah, like I said, both of them was just kind of contemplating everything. Tyriq already had the gun in his book bag, the gun that he got from Dre. So he was prepared to do whatever he had to do. And Tasha, she had a gun that she had taken out of Homeboy's place, out of Q's place, the one that was with the Magnum. So Tyriq went to his dad and he told him that, I mean, he pretty much pointed the gun at him and told him that he was going to secure his future because he's given his dad several opportunities to not be with this F shit, you know, and he's still like, you need to turn yourself in. So his dad is trying to plead with him, tell him to think about what he's doing, because once you do this, you can't take it back. But he was just like focus mode, you know what I mean? So following that, I mean, it just ends up going to the wayside. He ends up shooting his father, which I was like, yo, I can't believe he really did it. Tasha tried to stop him, but she was too late. And Tommy, when he had looked up and we saw that Tommy was about to shoot somebody, he was literally about to shoot Tyriq. That's how much of a good friend he was. He's willing to shoot his nephew, this person that he cares about so much, because he literally killed his best friend. But that's when Ghost was just like, nah, just let him go. Forget about it. It's over. Yo, that joke was crazy. I was like, yo. So the crazy thing is that when Tyriq was headed out, Saxe was like stumbling in there looking like he was freaking filled up on liquor, like just stumbling through, and had a gun in his hand and dropped the gun. And Tyriq saw all of that, but he kind of just kept it in, the back of his mind or whatever. Like, all right, checkmate. He ends up throwing out the book bag. He ends up leaving and all that. Comes around the front way, because he went through the back. Comes around the front way, smart, where all the cameras in them is, and starts saying, oh, I'm here to see my dad. And then they're like, oh, you have to wait. And then he starts getting all hysterical and stuff like that. So people see that. That's right there, a whole bunch of witnesses that are going to say he came later on. He didn't know what happened. And he was totally hysterical when he found out what happened. But I feel like, dude, you didn't even know what really happened. So how you getting all hysterical? Like, you didn't even wait for them to tell you what's going on. You just knew. Like, putting that together, that was kind of like a little shady boots. Like, like, dude, why you so mad? You don't even know what happened. So yeah, that part was a little interesting. So once they found out, once everything settled the next day or whenever, when they did the whole little like inheritance will, court hearing or whatever it's called, they all find out how much they're each going to get. So the money for the family was split into three. So it was for the little daughter, I forgot her name because we hardly ever see her, the son, and the son ends up getting Raina's half as well. The son ends up getting the condo. He also ends up getting Truth. The only condition, and Tasha ends up getting nothing. So she was pissed off by that. She's like, I gave this dude 3 kids. It's crazy. But I guess he's like, at the end of the day, you didn't want me to build anything. You didn't want me to get to this point. So, I still think that was kind of grimy, though. He gave her mother 1 month's rent paid. So, at least she would have time to, I guess, find a job, get herself together, and get this money. At the end of the day, they did have the little daycare. So, did it get shut down? I don't think it had got shut down at that point. I think they was investigating, but I don't think it got shut down. So that's still money that's coming in. But yeah, it probably wasn't coming in good enough, especially depending on where they live. So yeah, that was kind of messed up. he was pretty much like, F y'all, I'm taking care of my kids. How he even take care of Pas's family. He took care of her family. He made sure he took care of its mom. Tommy's mom. He gave Tommy a car. Like, he did all these things for all these people, and he didn't give Tasha nothing. Like, I guess she knew, like, she would figure it out because she's such a savvy person, I'm supposing, because I'm like, damn. So Tyriq is like, I got you, mom, don't worry about it. Then he finds out his conditions are he has to have a 3.9 GPA, and he also has to go to a 4-year college and graduate before he can get this money. And I'm like, ain't he like 16, or was he 17 at that point? Because I know normally, like, you graduate at 17, 18, depending, even 19 sometimes if you started school late. And I thought it was his 16th birthday last time, or maybe it was 17th, I don't know. But yeah, so I'm like, he's not out of school yet. So that means you got about 5 years to go before you get this money, before you get anything. So I'm like, damn, they was tight. Bianca, she was convinced that Tyriq and Tasha did this, and they kept on trying to say that it was Dre that did it. They wouldn't let that story go. That was the scapegoat, was Dre did this. Homie even pushed out tears talking about, how much he cared about his father and saying all these good things about his father. I'm like, yo, the shit people do when they don't want to get caught. Like, with family like that, who needs enemies? Who? Who needs enemies? I mean, he did a lot of bad things, but he would protect them to the end. The only thing is that he, like we said, he did want Tyriq to kind of go to jail, but I feel like he also wanted, like looking back, it's like I feel like he kind of wanted him to learn a lesson as well, because it's like if, and he said this earlier in the episode, he was like, yeah, they've been doing everything for him, and if they keep on doing this, he's not gonna learn. He's just gonna keep on doing more fuck shit and just messing everything up, you know. So they have to put a foot down somewhere so that he can learn, so he can become a better person. Because the more they cover up killings and, you know, drugs and this and that, the more he's gonna be able to do it. And she's over here helping him with his drug game, which is not any better, you know. It's just gonna make him a better drug dealer. I mean, if you can't beat them, join them sometimes. But when it comes to your kids, like, you still got to try to do better. So, I don't know. It's just, I guess it's subjective. Because there's so many, I'm one of those people, I'm a Pisces. There's so many ways that I look at different angles and I look at different outcomes. And I try to be fair, but it's hard in something like this. You know what I mean? How can you win? So then Tyriq ends up telling Saxe that he saw him that night. He saw him with a gun, and how does he know it wasn't him? So he's like, you know what? So that means that when I say it's Dre, that means that it's Dre. If it's not Dre, then that means I got to let everybody know that you were there that night with a gun. So once Saxe hears that, he's like, I ain't going down. Okay, it's Dre. You know, like, I'm going with your story. He even went as far to go to Bianca and, you know, mess up her head and tell her that, you know, she let Dre out. It looks like it's Dre, and that means that it's going to fall back on her. Her career is going to be over. So, you know, that makes her like, damn, I got to find out what's going on. She went to visit, damn, what's the freaking man name? I always forget this man name. QP? Man, I forgot his name. Y'all know who I'm talking about. She goes to visit the one in jail, and of course, he ain't one of those snitches. He'll rot his ass in jail before he goes telling on people. But he did give her a little hint and tell her, if you know Dre ain't do this, like, and kind of just left her there to kind of think, you know, and kind of have her mind wander a little bit. It's like, give you a little something without giving you too much. Now I'm out. Don't talk to me again. That's it. So Tasha, she goes to see Mr. Stern. And, of course, trying to make a deal, trying to find out a way to get this money, because that's what she does. She figures things out, tries to make a deal with Stern to give up truth, something that the father, you know, this could have been a legacy. You about to give it up. She also trying to get him into college quicker so that he'll be able to get out. Because, of course, you know, the white folks, the rich white folks, a lot of times they're able to do that. There's actually been, you know, scams that have been uncovered by some celebrities last year where they got taken down. I think I don't know if they got plea deals or what, but yeah, they got discovered that they got their kids in with bribery. So it is a real thing that's really happening, you know? So that's exactly what she was pretty much doing with Stern, and she would give him truth. He just, like I said, he has to get into the college that he's a part of. Because he built the library there, so he has connections, just has to make a phone call. And in return, he wanted her to work for him so he can have a little bit of diversity, a nice chocolate amongst his group of employees, you know? He needs a little diversity so he can meet that quota. So she agrees to all because, you know, greed makes you do a lot of foolish things. It'll make you sell your soul to the devil, which is what I feel like she was pretty much doing. But the only condition was that Tyriq would have to get his GED and then he'll be able to go into the school. Boom, just like that. I feel like he still had more time to go as far as high school because he was in that private high school. He probably had like another year or so at least, but he got bumped up so that he'd be able to get out a little bit faster so that they can get that money faster. Crazy. Tasha, she ends up, they find out that Dre, which was supposed to be their scapegoat, was killed. So now that's kind of putting things back on them. So, of course, now she's like, damn, what can I do to secure a story? The stupid gal go and she freaking sets up Q, gives a tip to the hotline, tells them that she knows who did it, and gives his name. She's there having sex with him. So I'm guessing this is back at the first scene. If it wasn't back at the first scene, then it was just another day that they was having sex. And they're like, we got a tip that you have a gun that killed St. Patrick. And yeah, we have a warrant as well. They search, boom, gun is there. And they take him away. And he's like, yo, Tasha, tell them that I was with you. Tell them that I drove you, that you was with me. What are you doing? She's just, with this stupid ass face. I'm just like, yo, this is why you can't trust people, son. Like, I know he's probably not going to trust no females for a real long time. Because I know something like that, that'll just mess up your whole entire perspective. Like, yo, from that moment, like, he had to know he got set up. And so the next day, boom, in comes Bianca. So it's like, what are you doing here? She's like, we've come to, arrest you. We know exactly who killed James St. Patrick. And she's like, you already got somebody. Like, why are you here? They're like, no, we got the person that you set up that you wanted us to catch. But that's not the actual killer. We know that it was you because Q or Quentin, he told us that you told him to drive you there. You went into Truth. You also told him to wait in the car, but he was like, you know what, just in case anything goes down, let me make sure that I go and I have a story. So he said he went into the diner, got a Red Bull, and it's all on camera. So that man wasn't as stupid as I thought initially when I'm like, yo, she's manipulating you, but he was a smart man, So I'm so proud of him. Yo, he's the real MVP. For real. So homie Zed had a story, had an alibi, had everything on camera. So from there, they're like, Tasha, you're under arrest for the murder of James St. Patrick. And, her son is there. He don't want her to go away. But she's like, yo, live your life, go to school, and do what you got to do. That's it. Like, don't worry about me. He wanted to kind of snitch and tell the truth. But she's like, just go to school and do what you got to do. That's it. So at the end of the day, I feel like the lifestyle that she wanted to live, this is what she was destined for. This was inevitable. Like, you was going to go down at some point, so it just happened now. These types of, remember, he even said it. He said, trying to be the biggest drug dealer in New York City, you're either going to end up dead or in jail. Father end up dead, mother's in jail. Boom. Got it right there. So yeah, they made Tasha take over everything. Like, she was no little princess anymore. I mean, she just went all the way down. She was at the highest point, and she just got taken down little by little. She went from the condo to having to get a regular job to, having to support herself to, living in a little New York apartment like us regular folks to now you in jail. Like, she just went all the way down. And it kind of shows that how much he was doing for her, which she kind of was ungrateful for. She felt like, this is what she was destined for because she helped him out in the beginning or whatever. So, yeah, they took off her eyelashes, they took off her hair, they took off everything, man. At least her braids was neat because I know sometimes when I be having my wigs on, depending on, how many weeks I've been switching up, because I be switching up. Sometimes them braids be looking a little raggedy, so at least you can't say nothing about them braids. Like, those braids, you could dead ass walk around and just be confident, You can even put a little bit of trinkets up in there, you be good. You know what I'm saying? So at least that's one good thing about that. But yeah, I can't really feel bad for her because, like I said, this is the life that she kind of chose. So yeah, but we did see at the end that he does go to school, so he's working on getting this money. And they did a scene where they went back in time to kind of show us, not Tasha, but Angie, Ghost, and Tommy as kids. So I'm like, oh, are we gonna go back? I don't know. Like, I don't be like, I remember X-Men did that before, Spider-Man did that before. Like, sometimes I'll just be over going back. But it looks like the next Power book is going to be based on all of them. It's going to have Mary J. Blige, Method Man. It's going to have, I was going to say Tommy. I mean, Tommy's probably going to pop up at some point. But it's going to have Tyriq. It's going to have Tasha. So this should be pretty interesting. I guess we'll see how it goes. I love me some Mary J. Blige, and she was looking like a boss chick. So I wonder how that's going to spin, if she's going to be like, somebody who takes him under her wing or something. I wouldn't be surprised. But we shall see how that kind of spins off. Maybe that's her long lost sister or something. Who knows? Tasha, I mean. And then they have another Power book that's coming. I saw at the end. It's going to be Raising Canaan. So and then there's gonna be another one called The Influence. So they're like, Power never ends. So yeah, Power is like gonna be a non-ending saga. I just hope that the rest of them are as good as this one, because I mean, they definitely have some big ass shoes to fill. So we'll see, y'all. But thanks for watching. Be sure to stay fabulous, live free, and soar limitless. I want to see which other show I'll incorporate, and we'll go from there. I was kind of looking at Catfish, but I don't know, because I'm kind of over Catfish because it's not the same like how it used to be. So we'll see. If you guys have any suggestions for shows, then definitely put them down below. But I definitely want to get something else to kind of replace this, because we're not going to have a new show from Power until the summertime. So I'm about to cancel my Starz subscription, y'all. But yeah. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Later.